Hi, like you said, my name's Chip Clark. I'm the program director for mechanical engineering at Zane State College. We're a little bit closer to than some of you to actual Intel, so I'm also working with another group up there. It's the Ohio Semiconductor Network. So I'm kind of balancing two different things here. So I'll go over some of the things that we got going on there. I will say that this is my first time bringing the robot out into the world, so I left a bunch of stuff laying on the table back at the college. So I'm going to be old school today, and we're not going to be doing any PowerPoints or anything, so probably going to run a little short, which I understand from the next presenter that he's okay with that. So I'm going to talk about the robot a little bit, but I'll go over our move it out of the road real quick. That way it's not up in the road. So I've been working with ASCENT and the Ohio Semiconductor Network for a while now, trying to figure out where we fit in as a 2-year technical program into the training of what Intel needs. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and go old school here and do some whiteboard. I'm sure the janitor's going to hate me, but I'm just going to touch on our engineering programs, even though, as meeting with Intel, there's a lot of other job needs that they'll need. Keith did a real good example of going over the HVAC. We do not offer HVAC at Zane State, but it's one of many key job areas that they're going to need at Intel. So, we looked at our 3 key areas and our 3 engineering programs, which are the triple ET, the electrical engineering, MEC, and our EMET, which is our electromechanical engineering technology. Intel has already pretty much told us, for the most part, our 3 programs are fine as far as any of our graduates of any of those 3 programs would be a potential employee as a technician at Intel. They did request, and then we've been working with the other group, the Ohio Semiconductor Network. We put together an additional certificate specifically for Intel. And that certificate, our semiconductor certificate, is actually, it's 3 classes. It's an intro to manufacturing, an intro to semiconductors, and a vacuum systems. This is a standalone certificate, these 3 classes that we offer. This was put together by the consortium of those 7 colleges that are in the central part surrounding Intel. And they were looking at it, and they know when they start up that we're already short on manpower. Every place out there right now, as far as technical manpower, we're short on people. So they looked at what could be the most basic certificate that would probably get a chance for a student to get in the door at Intel. And so with these 3 classes on top of a high school diploma, you could probably expect to possibly get a starting position at Intel. It's not a guaranteed thing. Like I said, this is a standalone certificate with a high school diploma. And what I am looking at doing is, it's 3 classes, not too rigorous. So I figure if we tack anybody that tacks that certificate onto any one of these 3 degrees is going to pretty much qualify for some position at Intel. So that's where we're looking at it. We're not making big changes to our standard curriculum, but we will be making, adding these classes. As Keith mentioned earlier, we're getting the same system, the vacuum system with Keith did. He's not here. Anyway, now we're on, okay. So we are going to be working with that same vacuum system. We are going to build a simulated clean room. It's not going to be close to a clean room. Intel says, you don't need a clean room. Just kind of wall something off, and it's not. We don't have we don't have the personnel. We don't have the finances to do a clean room. The object that they want is a technician or a potential technician to be able to work on that equipment in a bunny suit, which is they call when you suit up. So doesn't have to be, like I said, it doesn't have to have that $1 million clean room. It just has to be those working conditions. I don't know if any of you ever been in one of those bunny suits for any extended period of time. There's a little bit of a psychological effect to it. It's difficult to work in that condition, just wearing that suit and then working for hours. So you're not only in that suit, you're working, you're also using tools. What they do at Intel, actually a lot of the work they do at the technician level is very basic work. You're using wrenches, you're using Allen hex wrenches. You have to be able to use and manipulate them with rubber gloves on, full body suit, and you're typically suited up in 4-hour periods. So it's just, we're looking at just finding out the students that can do that. And let's see, I think it's Lorraine that actually has a semiconductor degree, 2-year degree. Went up there and did some training, and they said literally that some of their students cannot wear the bunny suit for 4 hours. And they have to explain to them, like, well, you're going to have to kind of look at a different option as far as career-wise, because that's part of the job. So like I said, with that certificate on top of any of our degree programs, I feel we've got a very good base. I took over the mechanical engineering program about 3 years ago, going on 4 years now. Very fortunate to get several grants. One of the grants that I got, I looked at, well actually we had 2 grants that had money left over, and they let us put that money together, and I was able to buy this robot here. This is a little, everybody's kind of familiar with industrial robots. This is actually an industrial robot. So it's capable of lifting about 6.5 pounds. I got the training package, so with everything else I got, this is approximately a $30,000 robot setting here. Like I said, very fortunate to get the grant to purchase this and use it. There's a couple different reasons that I looked at it. One of it is the newer technology as far as robotics, and I'll go a little bit more deeper into that as I explain to it. The other thing, and like I said, this is my first time bringing it out, is the portability of it. This is one of my keys, I hope, to recruiting new students into the engineering field. It's very difficult to recruit high school students into a 2-year program in the engineering field. There's usually, and a lot of it, there's a word that's used with it, a 2-year technician, the word maintenance. And if you use the word maintenance to a high schooler, the only maintenance person they've ever had in their life was the high school janitor. And that's the word that pops out to them. So if you go to a high school and you were, hey, industrial maintenance, in their head, they've only, like I said, they've only had experience with one maintenance person in their life. And so it's a difficult thing to overcome. And that's why, like I said, I'm looking at what I can take with me to a school and say, this is what you're going to be working on. This is the advanced type of maintenance. Keith earlier touched on, a lot of the equipment they have for HVAC maintenance. once again, when you use that word maintenance to a high school student, they like, oh, that's a dirty job, that's boring, that's not what I want to do. So, you know, it's one of those things, like I said, to try to recruit. That's what the robot is. Let me see if I got all my notes I scribbled down. I also did, as far, like I said, my biggest problem right now is getting numbers. I got the classroom. I got to get those numbers in. So looking at adult students, I also was fortunate enough, I put together a couple of certificates that we offer. There is a industrial maintenance and advanced industrial maintenance certificate. I put these together a little weird. They are certificates, but they are very heavy certificates. They're both one 17 and one 18 credit hours. That's equivalent of the technical classes for a 2-year degree. But there's no gen eds in these certificates. So my goal with that is to try to convince maybe adult workers, somebody that thinks they want to, you know, they're currently working, maybe got a family, when you tell, you know, come back to school, they're like, I'd like to get some education, but I don't want to take English, I don't want to take math. So as long as they can test at an appropriate math level, they can get into these certificates. Now my hope is once they get these certificates, then I can say to them, by the way, all of our gen eds are online, or you can take them, and if you take the gen eds, then we will give you a degree. So I'm hoping to like snag some of them backwards to, you know, get them into the classroom. But like I said, my biggest struggle is getting students into the classroom, getting students to understand STEM. There is, you know, a huge need for skilled workers. And while I just popped into my head while I'm thinking about it, those of you, how many of you are high school educators? Just, all right. Well, even the high school or the you know, the technical school, Intel does have a $5,000 grant right now that is for females. They are trying to, you know, it's typically a male-dominated field, so they are trying to, you know, level the playing field and offer opportunities to women. So keep that in mind. It's one of the things that, you know, I want everybody to keep in mind, that is out there. It is only for a 2-year degree. It's $5,000 towards a 2-year degree. Yeah.
Is it a grant or a scholarship?
It's a scholarship.
It's a scholarship, okay.
Did I say grant?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a scholarship.
Yeah.
So it's one of those good things. It's not well publicized, but, you know, it's one of the things that I want to start pushing and trying to, you know, my biggest goal is to increase students in the classroom. I guess the other thing I wanted to touch on too is with our not making any major really changes to my degree programs. We've put these together. They're very up to date, very technical in terms of today's needs. I see a lot of what's going to happen is Intel, when it becomes fully, you know, hiring and functional stuff, they are going to steal a lot of surrounding employees. And I'm in Zanesville. We're 30 minutes away from the building site. It's an easy 30-minute drive. Almost every manufacturer in Zanesville knows that they're going to lose at least one employee to Intel. Probably more, but some of them probably lose more. Those people are going to need somebody to step in and take the jobs that they're leaving open. So like I said, I've already built my degree programs for them. So when Intel come in and they're like, well, you're pretty good now, I really didn't worry about it. At first I did. I thought I was going to have to change some stuff. But I'm really, at this point in time, I'm not looking at changing a whole lot. We had, like I said, we had this certificate on. One of the key things, the vacuum systems training, they said that as a technician, 50% of what you do in that technician is going to be working on vacuum systems. Changing vacuum pumps, vacuum leaks, different contamination causes problems where you can't pull vacuum. So, you know, with the addition of these classes, especially that one right there, and then, like I said, put that on top of the NEC or even the triple ET, I'm confident that our technicians, any of our students can go there and succeed without any problem.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So when you're looking at, when we say that you have a lack of people in these colleges or filling a lot of the spots in these certificate and degree paths, do you find that it's because people who are applying don't have STEM skills, so like high school graduates don't have skills in STEM, or is it just a lack of interest in STEM fields?
Honestly, I've been watching it for a few years. I'm the last of the baby boomers. 5 years ago, 40% of the workforce in the United States, 40% were baby boomers. We're all turning 65 next year. 40% of the workforce is going to be gone next year. We're already short skilled people. And not only is that 40%, that's the 40% that's been in the workforce for a long time. Those are your highly skilled people. A lot of them are the highly skilled people. So you're going to be losing them all at once in the next year to two. That's already happened some over the last couple of years, you know, as we aged out. Then the sheer fact that the technology is advancing so rapidly. Intel, I mean, they need 3,000 technicians when that place starts up. There's a solar panel factory being built very near there, just a few miles away. That solar panel, I think they're looking at 1,800 people. There's multiple other, there is a hydrogen fuel plant being built in Columbus. Probably going to need, I'm going to roughly guess, 800,000 people there. The technology growth is just ridiculous right now in Central Ohio, the Columbus area. So, and that's the other thing. I mean, I hate, as an educator, I hate to say I guarantee if you've got skills, you got a 2-year degree, you're not going to be unemployed for a long, long time. Even, you know, 4-year degree, either one. You're not going to be unemployed for a long, long time.
Your question is a
Yeah.
$28 billion question, to be honest, because nobody has an answer for that right now. Is everybody's been preaching that there's jobs, there's money,
Yeah.
and people aren't flooding into the programs yet. We don't really know why. I have my suspicions that there's these words like maintenance, like you said, that they just have a preconceived notion. Or you talk about manufacturing, and they hear dirty, dingy, dead end, right? So I think a lot of it is just getting out and dispelling those misconceptions
Or
and
it's-
showing what this really is.
Or it's too hard.
Or it's too
Math.
hard,
Yes.
or I don't want to spend the time here, but I mean, everybody's willing to. Effectively, you can get a certificate. There's so many resources out there. It would be hard for you to have to pay for a certificate, right? And yet, we're still having a hard time getting it. We're starting to see an uptick, I think, but it really is. That's the $28 billion question.
But this is
Yeah.
a national phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know trying to recruit kids into the career center from high school,
Yeah.
in electronics, it's the geek factor. It's a stigma of being a geek. It's not cool.
Yeah.
We got to figure a way to let these high school kids know, you know, it is chic to be geek. I mean, you know, the geek shall inherit the earth.
It pays
So-
well too, right?
It does.
There are multiple groups of people. I'm in a really unique position, and I work with a lot of different people in a lot of different backgrounds in a lot of different areas. And the common factor is kids don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And so many times, I mean, Athens County, I'm an Athens County kid, I'm from the area. We have nothing like this in our backyard. So these kids have never seen it. Mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle, neighbor, nobody around them has ever worked in these fields. So they have no exposure to it, other than maybe what they've seen on TV. TV. And what they've seen on TV typically is dingy, dirty. I don't want to go do that. I don't want to work in those fields. But they've never seen what it is now. That's where the idea of the more and more exposure that we can start bringing in of these things to our 5th, 6th, and 7th grade kids, where it's the, oh, hey, by the way, that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's the, we've got to get them excited about it and realize that these things are fun when they're little, when they're younger, so then it's not as big, bad, and scary when they get older. And I hear that across the board from so many people, from so many different groups. It's the, how do we get that out there right now? Because what we've got out there right now is not working.
Which is
Yeah.
the purpose of this workshop. And now you're all ambassadors to explain this to other people, and then hopefully we get the ball rolling a little bit. But you're absolutely right. We don't do this in Appalachia, Ohio. So how would they know what the career pathway looks like? How would they know what it's like to operate a universal robot or a HVAC system like this?
And the other side of it too is there is this huge stigma in Appalachian regions where these kids think that they're not qualified. We're never going to be qualified. I don't have it in me to go do those things. We don't have the money. My parents can't send me to college. I don't know how I would ever do that. That's so far outside of my world. Making that shift where these kids can start to understand it's not irrelevant. You can do these things. There are ways to make these things happen. There are ways to make these things possible. It's getting that out and into them now that we've got to figure out what to do.
I'd like to add to that the training, especially remote training, and also some of the innate skills most teenagers and youngsters have today with electronics, with AR, VR tools that are now becoming more accessible. They need to also be aware that that disadvantage they feel is ever easier to bridge at this point. Whether they have or not, it's a psychological issue maybe, but even if they have a disadvantage, it is not unsurmountable anymore. We need to also get that message across, I think.
Absolutely, and that's where there are a lot of these programs that are out there right now that I'm seeing, and I know there are multiple two-year institutions that are going and getting VR headsets, and they're bringing these things into middle schools and letting these kids see different career fields and different things that they've never been exposed to before. How can we do it? We don't live in an area that we can take a 20-minute bus trip to go expose these kids to these kind of things. That's not feasible. So you bring it to them. You find ways to bring it to them. We have had people, and I know that you guys have done this in multiple occasions at Zane State. We do it at Hawking. I've seen it happen in all these places. Where we can bring people in on a screen in their classroom. They're talking to a live person, walking them through their facilities, seeing where it is that they work, seeing what it looks like, and what a day-to-day life is in their job. That makes it real. Without that, these kids have no clue what you're talking about.
Yep. And on that, touching on STEM, how many? I'm gonna pick on you, but
Go for it.
how many of you are familiar with Tech Prep Ohio?
That's me.
Tech Prep Ohio is a resource that every one of you as an educator should know about. I won't delve into, because honestly, I'm a little bit confused about Tech
You're
Prep
fine.
Ohio.
We are
But we
too.
happen to have a tech prep coordinator at our college. And a lot of what she does is we're trying to, they're trying to help do this. So they have some funding sometimes, and sometimes they give me funding and they're like, what can we take to this school?
Not as much funding as they used to get.
No, that's
Yeah, but it's still, you can, I get the chance to, they'll give me enough to, I can buy, sometimes I'll buy electronic kits and just take 12 of them out to high school. And then I get to, do a little presentation, touch on Zane State, touch on Tech Prep Ohio. We literally give these resources to the teachers and everything. So everybody wins. I get recruiting. They get to do their job, which is to, advance knowledge of STEM, to get those kids hopefully to get those kids more interested. So, like I said, any of the educators that, you got any information with you? Got any?
I will have. I'm talking later on today.
Oh, okay.
So
So
I'm
you-
curious, well, all the research, outreach and things like that you're doing with the schools and bringing these in, how often do you also invite the parents into the room or have a separate session for them? Because I've been also hearing, right, that's, if you can convince mom and dad or convince grandma and grandpa.
I'm literally, one of my plans is you will be seeing this on Friday nights at the football game.
Oh, cool.
It's gonna be there passing out pamphlets or something Friday night, because I honestly think that is the key.
Yeah.
Student, yeah, they don't know, but it's mom and dad that's wondering, how much is this gonna cost?
Exactly.
And
What's my
somebody, did you touch on that it's all, there's a lot of funding out there right now for technical education. Like I said, right now, the one I mentioned for the females, that's $5,000 a year. That should cover everything at a 2-year college, and that's $5,000 a year. So it basically, you got free every, and I don't think there's any like limit on it. It's just if you go to a technical college and a technical program, they will give you $5,000.
You guys have some ASCENT money for scholarships.
Yeah, well, that's the difference.
And so, yeah, so, I mean, it's all about reducing the cost. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's also making people aware that those things exist, because again, they don't know what they don't know, and the fact that there's a $5,000 scholarship sitting out there is wonderful.
Yeah.
But if we can't push that information out, if that information is not getting circulated to the students that could be potentially sitting in your classrooms, then it's still just sitting.
Yeah, and Matt, you guys have some money too. So Jeremy's got some scholarship dollars for you guys as well.
I'll get him up.
Yeah.
I'll touch on one other scholarship, since everybody here is like in engineering programs. How many of you are familiar with the Society of Manufacturing Engineers? We got a couple. They give multiple $5,000 scholarships. I'm wondering if that one was $2,500. Maybe it's $2,500. It's super easy. The student has to apply for it. Basically, if you're in any type of an engineering program, you qualify. So use that one for your students. I've had students get that one. So it's not a hard thing to do. And that's where I said, I just learned about that one last year. I had students get it last year. The application deadline is February 1st. I literally told my students like in January, and 2 or 3 of them went in and got it done, and they got that scholarship. So keep that one in mind too, because that's an easy one and it's a lot of money. All right, let's get back to a little bit about the robot. I did mention a little bit earlier that I left a lot of stuff that I was supposed to bring with it laying on the table. The robot itself is kind of a standard robot. Now, like I said, this is called a collaborative robot. Notice that it's not like most robots, if you've seen with the guarding, everything's got red lights. If you get too close, the red lights go off, warning bells go off, all that good stuff. Because there's an inherent danger, those robots, depending on their size, will either take your arm off or will kill you. In the necessity where they're at, they are awesome. They've done a lot of, they've changed a lot of things. They don't fit everywhere. Sometimes that is not a good thing. So the new collaborative robots have been designed to work with people. They do not have any guarding. And I'll show you one of the reasons why. Let me see which program I'm running, because see if I can stand in the right spot. Oh, sorry. Let me get out of your road. Comes up, robot hits something. Naval robot.
Bad robot.
What was that?
Bad robot.
Bad robot.
And it just goes on and does its thing. So this is one of the, it's not the smallest, there's smaller ones out there, but they make them quite huge. And every one of them are designed to work in this manner, that you can work side by side. Now the other cool thing about this, and there's various videos that you can watch, is the robot itself, you can't change a whole lot. It just moves wherever you want it. But the end of arm tooling, this up here, now this has a automatic gripper on it, but depending on what you're manufacturing or what you're doing with it, this could be multiple configurations. It could just be a 3D printed, small 3D printed part. And actually a lot of the end of arm tooling today is now 3D printed. That's another one of those new technologies that there's a lot of old school people that just think that's the worst thing in the world, that that we can do that. And then there's still the people that think, well, you can only 3D print plastic, which we're 3D printing rocket booster engines now, cheaper, better than we've ever made them before. So the technology is actually expanding. It's one of the, like I said, it's one of those things that I had a buddy of mine, he 3D printed a business card holder for his desk. He was a used car salesman, and he said somebody come in and asked him, like, how'd you make that? He said, oh, I 3D printed it. The guy's like, but how did you cut the grooves in? And he's like, no, I 3D printed it just like that. And he said this guy argued with him, that he was an ex-machinist, and he did not believe that he printed it with the grooves in. He said he got a little bit mad. He said, well, he's like, you're lying to me. You can't do that. And so we do,
That's
like I
why
said,
they sell cars.
Yeah.
so that is one of the things. Like I said, the end of arm tooling, very easy to change. Some of it's generic. This one here is just like I said, a standard gripper. I'm trying to go through in my head some of the stuff I had, and I don't have anything. So, the programming part of it. These ones can be programmed in two different methods. One is the traditional programming method. The other is it has a teach pendant. So, and this is where I've been, let me see if I can remember how to do this. Let's do a new program. So, when I hit waypoint is a stopping point on this program. If I hold this button on the back of this, it will release this robot. I can now bring this robot down, and let's see, we'll put it right there. Set that waypoint. And then I am going to let's see. I'm going to release it and just move it over, I don't know, say right there. Got waypoint. And let's see if I can run. So that's that first waypoint that I set it at. Now I'm going to, it's only got two waypoints, so it's just going to go together, but then I can hit play the program, and it automatically goes to that next waypoint. And actually I didn't put a hold in it, so it's just going to go back and forth between those two waypoints. But it's literally that easy to program this. I can close the gripper in there, open and close the gripper. Like I said, we need to put a hold there somewhere. First waypoint, now it should go to the second waypoint and stop. Sort of that simple to program. And you can make some pretty complicated programs with this. What this does, for me, what this does is you can now, basically any worker you have with a little bit of training can program this robot. So not only is this robot designed to work next to somebody, it's virtually any reasonably competent person can program this and execute that program and run it. There's a whole bunch of different things there as far as, looking at. It's like it eliminates a whole lot of people, so it makes some things a whole lot easier, but it also gives a small manufacturer the capability to integrate this into a manufacturing environment that they probably couldn't afford. Now I see somewhere on our itinerary, we're talking, somebody's going to do something with Fanuc robots.
Yep, it is.
Probably, whatever we're going to look at, I'm going to guess, what, $150,000?
No, I think it's a $75,000 unit that has vision system on it. It's about 1 foot larger than
Now, is it collaborative or is it standard?
he's doing a standard robot. We have multiple collaboratives as well, so they'll get to see in the lab a couple different collaborative robots, several different Fanuc robots, a couple pick and place as well.
Okay, so if we're going,
And some AR is tied into it.
Visualizations.
okay, and that's, like I said, and as you see them, you'll be able to see the difference. I'm not, if you guys got all that, I'm not going to go too much more deeper into that. But like I said, the reason I got this one here in particular is right here. I can bring it to a group of students in a high school. And like I said, I plan on this being at football games this fall. I want to reach those parents. Yeah, it wows the students to see that, thing running, it's kind of cool. I played with it now, so it's not so cool for me anymore. But I guarantee you, if that thing's, at a football game and people are walking by and I'm passing out cards with it or whatever, and I'm going to have something there, talk to me about engineering at Zane State. I think I will pick up some students. That's the plan. Won't guarantee it. Since you guys are, like I said, since I forgot the other stuff, I won't go into much more depth. Any questions on anything?
How many degrees of freedom has 141 of the motor? 6?
6 axes.
6 axis, yeah.
Yes.
6.
Three elbows, three wrist movements. The base, well, one of the things I also touch on, the base that it's mounted on, notice it's got these 4, you could literally mount this on anything.